Hello, my super lovely kids. It's me, Auntie Gifty, once again, and I welcome you all to the Great Victory Land virtual class. I believe you're having a nice day and you're ready for today's lesson with all aggressiveness. Alright, so today we're going to have a lesson on science. We're going to talk about materials. Materials. Does that ring any bell? Okay, let's see. So we are hoping that by the end of our lesson this day, youth people will be able to 1. Know what materials are. 2. Know the texture of the materials such as soft, hard, rough, smooth, opaque, transparent, and bendable. We're hoping that by the end of the lesson today, the peoples will be able to 1. Know what materials are, know the texture of the materials such as soft, hard, rough, smooth, opaque, transparent, and bendable. So are we ready to catch up with all these lessons for today? Good, I know you are. So let's move on to the lesson. So our question for the day is, what are materials? What are materials? Let's give the answer. Materials are substances from which something is made. Materials are substances from which something is made. Really, I think I can remember a song about this lesson where this definition is put in a song form where it's being sung this way. Materials are substances from which something is made. Materials are substances from which something is made. Materials are substances from which something is made. Everything around us is made with materials. Everything around us is made with materials. Good. Are you ready to learn the song? Alright, so let's sing it one more time. Materials are substances from which something is made. Materials are substances from which something is made. Materials are substances from which something is made. Everything around us is made with material. Good. So I hope this song is always going to help you remember what materials are. So let's look at examples of materials. For example, a paper is made out of wood. And so, the substance from which the paper was made from is the material, which is the wood, and the paper becomes the object made from the material. I hope you've understood this example. Now let's look at examples of materials. So examples of materials are metal. We all know what metals are. Textile. Like the dress I'm wearing is made from a textile. Soil. You know the soils are always being used to build houses and others. We have wood. We use in making furniture, cabinets, and a lot. Then we have plastics. The plastics we have them being used for making bottles, cups, and others. So you see, these are the examples of materials we have. There are lots and lots and lots of examples. Now we move on to the properties of materials. Properties of materials. The properties of materials describe how the material behaves. The properties of materials describe how the material behaves. These properties are 1. Materials have different textures. Materials have different textures. 2. Materials have different sizes. Materials have different sizes. 3. Transparent and opaque materials. Transparent and opaque materials. We move on to the bendable and stiff materials. Bendable and stiff materials. Materials have other properties as well. So these are the various properties of material. We're taking them as one after the other. So we first take materials having different textures. Now what is a texture? Texture refers to the surface and appearance of an object. Texture refers to the surface and appearance of an object. A texture can be hard. A texture can be hard. It is hard when it is difficult to break or burn. So when you can't break anything or burn anything, it means that that material is very hard. Let's look at examples of such materials. We have 1. Coconut, 2. Rock, 3. Wood, 4. Pen, 5. Plastic, 6. Stones, 7. Marbles. Alright, so looking at these examples, we could tell that these are very hard because they are never easy to break or burn. Good. We carry on to texture can also be soft. A texture can also be soft. It is soft when it is easy to break or burn. It is soft when it is easy to break or burn. So if you have been able to break or burn a texture, then it simply says that that texture is soft. Now let's look at examples of such textures. We have cotton wool, polythene bag, pieces of clothes. 4, we have straw. Next we have chalk. And then the last one we have crayon. I go over the examples again. We have cotton wool, polythene bag, pieces of clothes, straw, chalk, and crayon. You can see that all these things are easy to burn and break. We carry on to materials having different sizes. So materials have different sizes. Materials have different sizes. The size of a material can be big or small. The size of a material can be big or small. A material is big when it covers more space, but small if it covers a small space. A material is big when it covers more space, but small when it covers a small space. Let's look at an example. We have certain images here. We could see a big box and a small box. Looking at them, you could see that the big box has taken a big space, and that of the small box has taken just a small space. We carry on to the other image, which is a dog. We can see a small dog and a big dog. The small dog has occupied a small space, and then that of the big one has occupied a very big space. The last image is a ball. We have a small ball and a big ball. Looking at this, we can see that the small ball doesn't occupy any large space, but the big one does. So you see, it is very true when we say materials have different sizes. We carry on to transparent and opaque materials. Transparent and opaque materials. Materials can be either opaque or transparent. Materials can either be opaque or transparent. Transparent materials are materials we can see through. Transparent materials are materials we can see through. They allow light to pass through them. They allow light to pass through them. These materials include 1. Plain glass. 1. Plain glass. 2. Transparent polythene bags. 2. Transparent polythene bags. And then 3. Water. You can see that we have certain polythene bags which are white or plain, meaning that they don't have any actual color. They are just plain, so we can see through them. We have plain glasses as well, which we can see through, and also we all believe we can see through water. Carry on to opaque materials. Opaque materials are materials we cannot see through. Opaque materials are materials we cannot see through. They do not allow light to pass through them. They do not allow light to pass through them. These materials include 1. Wood, 2. Cardboard, 3. Colored polythene bag, 4. Plastic, 5. Piece of cloth. Piece of cloth. These things do not allow light to pass through them, and neither can we see through them. These make them opaque objects. Good. We carry on to bendable and stiff materials. Bendable and stiff materials. Bendable materials are materials that are flexible to bend without breaking. So any material that you can bend to its last point but doesn't get broken is a material that is what? Bendable. You can bend it and then it doesn't break because it is very, very, very flexible. These materials include 1. Polythene bag. 1. Polythene bag. 2. Straws. Straws. 3. Piece of clothes. Piece of clothes. And 4. Rubber band. All these examples, there are a lot of them which are bendable. You can bend them for them not to get broken. Now we carry on to stiff materials. And we say that stiff materials are materials that are difficult to bend. It is very true. Stiff materials are materials that are difficult to bend. These materials can only get broken when force is put on them. I take it again. Stiff materials are materials that are difficult to bend. These materials can only get broken when force is put on them. So you can see that there are other materials that are very stiff that we can't bend them because they are not flexible. Because of that, if we exert force on them, they get broken. Then they can only get broken when there is a lot of force or pressure on them. So let's look at examples of such materials. 1, we have screwdriver. Screwdriver. 2, we have pencil. Pencil. 3, we have nail. Nail. And then 4, we have pen. There are a lot of stiff materials around that are not easy to bend, and anytime force are applied on them, they get broken. Now we move on to our last but not the least property, which is materials having other properties. So a material can be shiny, dull, smooth, rough, straight or curved, cold or hot, and many more. A material can be shiny, dull, smooth, rough, straight or curved, cold or hot, and many more. These properties determine their uses. These properties determine their uses. Example, clay is used for making basketry. Clay is used for making basketry because it is hard and strong. Example 1, we have saucepan, which is shiny. 2, we have pot. 2, we have pot, which is dull in color and smooth. It is also curvy. 3, we have rough wall. We can say that the wall is very, very rough and straight. Then we have roofing sheets. We can say that they are shiny, they are curved, and sometimes they are cold and become what? Hot. So today I believe you've learned a lot about the properties of materials, where we learned some of them being stiff, others being flexible, others being opaque. We have transparent materials too. We have materials that are hard, others are soft, others are smooth, others are rough, shiny, straight, curved, cold, or hot. All these things add up to the property of materials. Good. So we move on to our evaluation for our lesson today. You are to answer the following questions. So you have to list 5 properties of materials. List 5 properties of materials. Then the next one, you are to use different materials to create objects such as. You are to use different materials to create objects such as 1. Paper fan, 2. Hats, and 3. Earthenware, which we all know to be called asanka or Iowa. So 1, you are to use any material to create a paper fan, 2, to make a hat, and then the last one to do an earthenware bowl. So I hope you enjoyed your lesson. Kindly be able to do all these, practice how to do them, and then bring it to us. If you need any assistance too, you can see us for us to guide you. Have a nice day and stay blessed. Catch up with you on another lesson. Bye.